Well, it's now time to take a look at stories trending around the world. We begin what's trending here in Nigeria. Many Nigerians on Twitter have decried the state of insecurity in the north using the hashtag Northern Lives Matter. Users shared their frustration with President Muhammadu Buhari's administration over the continued spate of attacks on innocent lives by bandits, herdsmen, and terrorists. Let's take some tweets. One user wrote, Nigeria responded to the COVID-19 menace with lockdowns, travel restrictions, and food aid for workers, leaving the conflict in the northeast to garner a lower profile. At President Muhammadu Buhari, we feel neglected, hashtag Northern Lives Matter. Another user wrote, the unconcerned attitude showed by Buhari's administration towards the happenings in the north is condemned and unacceptable. Every day, people are being killed. We can't take this anymore. Voting this government is highly regrettable. Do the needful or resign. Hashtag Northern Lives Matter. Another user shared a video of President Muhammadu Buhari's condemning insecurity in the north during President Jonathan's administration with the hashtag Muhammadu Buhari. In 2015, you said it was a big disgrace for previous administration to deal with insurgents for 5 years to the extent of seeking help from neighboring countries. Now, in your 5 years in office, not only is Boko Haram existing, but banditry is now the new norm. Hashtag Northern Lives Matter. Now, let's take a quick look at that video before we come back for a discussion.
How old is Boko Haram? Would you take the Nigerian law enforcement agents and the military 5 years, to deal with insurgents? That our neighbors have to come in, Cameroon and Chad, and secure part of our territory from rebels, from insurgents. This is a big disgrace to Nigeria.
Well, users on Twitter have shared their frustration with the whole killings that have been happening in the north. Just only last week alone, different parts of the north, Sokoto, Kaduna, all of these communities have suffered either from, Boko Haram attacks or banditry. So it's been a really huge outcry right now on social media.
Well, the thing to stress is that public opinion is very important.
Yes.
Public opinion is an important element of the democratic process. And of course, the people will always speak up. What is important is for government to listen to them, because government exists to serve the people. Clearly, there is a very serious insecurity in the northern part of the country, from the northwest to the northeast, from Borno State to Katsina to Kaduna to southern Kaduna in particular. And in recent times, we've seen a rise, a spike in the attacks. Some of those attacks going on for hours on end without even any intervention by the security agencies. So if people are now protesting, as they have done in Katsina, even defacing a billboard,
yes,
having the photograph of the president, I think they shouldn't be dismissed like as a thuggish minority. They are concerned about farming, because the insecurity is not just affecting farming, it's also affecting everything else. So I think it's important for government to listen to them and address their grievances. However, the hashtag Northern Lives Matter overlooks the fact that it is every life that matters. Every Nigerian
they are concentrating right now on Northern Lives
every
Matter
Nigerian life
and I think it's an important hashtag, really, at this point.
Well,
for people to focus on that. Well, we have been focusing. All lives matter, Dr. Abati, really. But the fact that there is Black Lives Matter, there should be Northern Lives Matter, and this is the awareness that needs to be.
No, but the point I was trying to make is that, look, the spate of insecurity in Nigeria is not restricted to the north. Yeah. We also have issues in the south, in virtually every part of the country. The shape may differ. You may have terrorism in the northeast, but you have kidnapping, you have petty crimes, you have violence, you have all kinds of...
you have rape.
You have rape, you have all kinds of problems in different parts of the country. This should be some kind of wake-up call for government to know that government still needs to do a lot more, despite the fact that the president today gave an account of what his administration has been able to achieve in 5 years. There's a lot more that needs to be done.
You're very correct. I think it was, this quote used to be attributed to Sonny Abacha, that if an insurgency goes way beyond a certain period of time, then there's a political element to it. And the truth has to be said concerning what is happening in the north, because this is not the first time we're going to see a protest. If you remember how Zamfara State used to be back in the days, a couple of years back, there were protests. In fact, I think the journalist Kadaria Ahmed was part of those that came out on the streets and said their lives were being snuffed out. One thing has to be said. The government has to do more in terms of security. What is security? Economic empowerment.
That's a
Once
very
you
valid point,
empower the people economically, then security starts to come. The north is about the poorest region in this country, hence all of the banditry you are seeing. Bring economic empowerment back, bring jobs back, they start to reduce.
Yesterday on social media, there were images of these bandits just roaming freely in one of the communities in Castina State. And it was quite appalling that, you know, at this point, there shouldn't be people on motorcycles with AK-47s allowed to roam around the streets of Nigeria.
Those people should be in factories working.
Yes.
So but then you have to enforce the law.
Yeah.
Poverty cannot be an excuse for criminal conduct. Part of the responsibility of citizens is to respect the law.
Yeah.
So even when there is poverty, on the long term, you can address that. But nobody at any time should constitute himself or herself into a nuisance and a violator of public order.
That's true.
Very good. Well, shall we take another story in Nigeria? On Thursday, the Nigeria Governors Forum declared a state of emergency on gender-based violence and any form of violence. This is coming amid the rise in case of rape across the country. The decision was taken on the COVID-19 teleconference meeting of the forum, where the governors condemned sexual and gender-based violence, saying they are committed to ensuring justice is served. The Governors Forum also called on its members who are yet to implement laws against sexual and gender-based violence to do so in order to reduce sexual violence. I mean, I think this is coming at the right time at this point. It's very important that everyone comes together to continue to talk about this rising spate of rape in Nigeria.
I think very strongly we have to come together and talk about it. And I give kudos to the 13th Senate President,
Yes.
Bukola Saraki. He was our guest editor at the back page of This Day Today. And he poured his heart out as regards this. And it's something we should all look at very strongly. And not just about the laws, but it's also executing the laws to the letter as regards this, and bringing this menace to an end. I believe very strongly that we can actually bring this menace to an end if we all put all hands on deck and do what is right and allow the law take its course and empower the police force as regards this. Because in Uwa's case, for instance, there are shocking revelations that I don't want to believe as regards complicity in that case. Who even perpetrated the acts. So if we allow the laws to take its course, Dr. Batu, you were talking yesterday about making the laws very robust to be able to attack this. I think rape can be a thing of the past in this country.
I believe so.
The laws are part of the problem. And I think it's a good development that the state governors are talking about the issue of rape. The conversation around rape is an important conversation. And all the persons who continue to put it on the front burner, I think, are doing very well. And it's good to see that the governors are talking about it. But talking about the laws, we've made a point repeatedly that the laws on rape in Nigeria are defective, are inadequate, and the relevant sections of the criminal code will need to be reviewed, particularly section 357, which deals with the definition of rape. Because rape recognizes the fact that it's only a woman that can be a victim. And then, of course, the relevant sections also dealing with the burden of proof, dealing with evidence in rape matters. All these are problematic. So the relevant sections in this regard will be section 212, section 218, section 357, and section 358. And then the penal code, there has been an adjustment of the penal code, but with regard to rape, section 262 of the penal code also needs to be reviewed. And, you know, the governors talking about it should talk to their members in the National Assembly. They are the people's representatives in the National Assembly to make this a matter of urgent national importance. Yeah. Since 2008, there have been one bill or the other related to rape going to the National Assembly. But up to today, no decision has been taken yet. So we need to carry also the National Assembly along. The National Assembly, as I yesterday, was talking about the bill on the stigmatization of rape in Nigeria. I don't know how that bill will address that.
That's our next story.
But they need to go beyond that. And then the states that have not signed up to the Child Rights Act since 2004.
Yeah, but about 13 of them in the north.
Yes, so they have to also worry about that. And then other states should emulate Ekiti State and Lagos State and open the sex offenders register. Yeah. That, I think, is also important as a way of naming and shaming rapists. Yes.
Well, we need to go on a short break now, but do stay with us. The Morning Show continues. Welcome back to The Morning Show here on Horizon News. Still on trending stories in Nigeria, a bill which seeks to persecute and punish persons who stigmatize victims of rape and insurgency has passed its second reading. According to the sponsor of the bill, Senator Musa Sani, the bill will provide a legal and institutional framework for the reintegration of victims of rape and insurgency in the country. He says the Senate should legislate on actions needed to address some of the shortcomings in Nigeria's legal system. However, little has been said about how exactly this ban on stigmatization would work. Let's take some comments from social media. One user wrote, "What in the misplaced priority is this? How can you pass a bill on people's thoughts and actions towards a situation? Stigmatization is a personal decision towards a victim. What should be done is to enlighten people that stigmatizing to the victim is very dangerous to the victim and for the victim." Another user wrote, "They should use the same energy to decide a more appropriate punishment for the perpetrators. Instead, why do they like doing things opposite? Why do they like doing opposite things in Nigeria?" I'm not sure how this
I don't understand a bill for stigmatization because, like somebody said in those tweets, it's a societal trend.
Yes.
I mean, people, just for having COVID, have been stigmatized. To start with, employers are stigmatizing people for having COVID. Absolutely. All sorts of stigmatization is going on. For the fact that you are from the Osu sects, I'm talking about the Igbos now, you are time to be a slave and you have been stigmatized. And in fact, a lot of opportunities are denied you. So stigmatization is a psychological thing that people have to win off. But a bill to that effect, I think the concentration should be more on the penal code and the things you have talked about and how to punish effectively. And also have a platform where we can have the National Orientation Agency to come in to say that, in fact, rape victims are heroes. Have a national rape victim heroes campaign where you show people that will come and say, I was raped, but I picked my life back up and I'm doing quite well for myself. You too can come out of this. So rather than having a bill, I mean, it doesn't sit well with me.
Well, I mean, as I said earlier, it's important that there is an emerging conversation, useful conversation around the subject of rape. And people will intervene from every direction. What Senator Mohammed Sani Musa has done is to draw attention to the challenge of stigmatization. Whether the bill passes at the end of the day or not, we all know that stigmatization is part of the problem. And there are cultural dimensions to this. And that is why many rape victims or survivors do not want to tell their stories. As I pointed out previously, the destiny of a woman in many African communities is to end up as a wife to a well-chosen husband. And if you have been raped, that could become some form of
and that's a stigmatization.
So families themselves also discourage their daughters
or their sons.
But then that's why some of these women don't even report
this is
cases.
What I'm saying. I'm trying to place it in context. So what will be more important, in my view, is a proper criminalization of rape It's already in the criminal code, but it must be, it should be made, the laws should be in such a form that the heavy burden is placed on the part of the on the head of the assailant and not on the victim. You know, at the moment it's the victim that suffers, that gets stigmatized. The stigma should be on the other side so that punishment can be properly meted out and justice can be done. And I agree with you, the National Orientation Agency and also the state ministries of information, and in fact the entire media establishment, you know, has a job to do in this regard, to properly, you know, provide information to the people and to encourage victims and survivors to tell their stories. Because what we're dealing with here is violence against persons.
Right.
And there is a law, the VAP Act, the Violence Against Persons Prohibition Act, which also needs to be enforced.
Yes, absolutely. I agree with both of you, really. Should we take another story in Nigeria? The General Overseer of the Redeemed Christian Church of God, Pastor Enoch Adeboye, has come under fire over a video that was shared on Instagram in which the pastor was overheard saying that he would kill anyone nursing the idea of harming his wife. Now, let's take a quick listen to that video before we come back for a discussion.
You have to love your wife to the extent of being willing to die for her, and that is a big one. I'm sure you've heard me say before, you can do whatever you like to me, you can criticize me, you can insult me, you can trample on me. I will only pray for you. You mess around with my wife, I will kill you. I will kill you so thoroughly, you won't even be able to rise on the resurrection morning. And when some people say, but how are you going to do that? Well, I tell my daddy to send you to hell straight away.
I can see both of you cracking up. I'm not understanding why you guys are so excited about this.
He said, I will kill you so thoroughly. I will tell my daddy to send you to hell. So you will not resurrect on the resurrection morning.
No, but the conversation really is the fact that, I mean, how can a man of God say that they will kill? But I mean, I believe that this is an old video that just came back on social media, and he had clarified this earlier, saying that he didn't mean physical killing. I believe that he meant, you know, whatever, spiritual killing. But let's take some reactions before we come back for a discussion. One user wrote, Pastor, do you think your words contradict what the words of God teaches? Why killing instead of forgiveness and praying for the sins of the person? Well, another user wrote, Sir, there are countless senseless rape cases in which victims were also murdered. Please, sir, can you also use the same spiritual power you want to use to kill anyone who messes with your wife, to kill all these rapists? Also, so that they will not wake up on resurrection morning. I mean, this is...
Well, I don't think it should be taken literally.
Yeah.
I think that the General Overseer of the Redeemed Church is being romantic here. Yeah. And it shows that he's also human, like every one of us. Yeah. I mean, how many men will joke with their wives? No. And this is not the first time he has made this kind of statement. Yeah. He has always celebrated his wife. And I think in that regard, he's just saying, look, I love my wife. Yeah. I don't joke with my wife. I think that is the subtext. And he said, look, you can abuse me, but don't go near my wife. If you go that way, then you will see the emotional side of Pastor Adeboye. And you as a woman, OG, I'm not being sexist, I'm sure you like that kind of response. You know, for your husband to stand up for you in the public space. Yes. And say, don't mess with my wife. Otherwise, you will see another side of me.
You see, I feel there's nothing wrong with what he has said. In fact, Once I'm married, I'm not married yet, but if you mess with my wife, I will show you I'm an Ijebu man.
You will kill the man thoroughly.
No, he didn't
You
say
will not
kill.
kill.
No, he
You will
didn't
make
say
sure that the
kill.
killing is thorough.
I said I will
It's a
show
very
you I'm an
serious
Ijebu man.
word.
Okay.
I'm a serious Ijebu man.
Well, what is it about Ijebu people?
I will not tell you.
No, tell us you are Ijebu man.
I will show you I'm an Ijebu man.
But he's a romantic, you know that everyone refers a romantic.
But I think what he said is what more men should say about their wives. Because we live in a society where men do not respect their wives. And it has to be instructive. I think it's what more men should say.
Yeah.
Men should defend their wives. You know, the Bible says the man should love the wife like Christ loved the church.
Yeah.
And it's very instructive. More men should do this. Maybe if more men say this, side chicks will reduce.
Oji, do you have an objection to that?
I've told you, I'm not answering you on national television.
I must tell you, Rufai, don't spoil market for side chicks, please. Because that's an important part
Let's
of
take another
relationships.
They are oilers and wheelers.
We'll take another story. Still in Nigeria, the acting chairman of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, Ibrahim Magu, has also come under fire on social media after he announced on Thursday that the agency has recovered assets in excess of 980 billion naira. While speaking at a media briefing to mark the 2020 Democracy Day in Abuja, the acting chairman said non-monetary assets recovered by the anti-corruption agency include estates, private jets, and oil vessels. The FCC chief also said the commission has secured 2,240 convictions in the past 5 years. Let's take some quick reactions. One user wrote, "What has been done with the money? All the millions you keep retrieving from the loot, what has come out of them? Yet Sinzu keeps borrowing $1 billion. Another user wrote, "Audio recoveries, yet Buhari has taken 25 loans in 5 years that they even want to task Facebook and Netflix morons. Will applaud lies." I mean, this is a big issue right now on social media.
I just wanted to ask, is the 980 million different from the Abacha manna?
I mean, there are so many loots people are asking about. I mean, what happened? It's different. It's really, really
So it's different from the Abacha
this
manna?
one is from private jets, estates, and other assets that people have.
Well, I don't see what the furore is all about. If the chairman of the EFCC gives account and says this is what we have been able to recover, and there is clear evidence in the public domain that the EFCC had made a lot of recoveries.
Yes.
Now, persons who are protesting, well, I mean, there is the Freedom of Information Act. The appropriate way to go about it is that if you apply the Freedom of Information Act and you request for more information, it will be made available. And the EFCC, of course, has a newsletter, you know, which is out there online, giving these details. But, you know, Nigerians can be very emotional about everything.
Yes.
And I think that the EFCC chairman has no blame in this matter. In fact, he should be commended for giving information.
But is the response good when you effect the freedom of information? Because I have actually embarked on one like that the response wasn't good. They don't answer you on time.